The Lassie Talks podcast.
Hi, I'm Yvonne.
And I'm Robert.
And welcome to Lassie Talks podcast, where we talk about how to build a better bond with your dog. And this episode is about going on holiday.
Yeah, and on the back of that, I think it would be a good opportunity to have a little health talk about vaccinations. Very important.
Right. Yes, indeed, because some holidays we might actually think about sticking, that's perhaps not the right term, letting our dogs have their holidays in a kennel.
Oh, well, if they're in a kennel, they're in with lots of other dogs, and that's the place where doggy diseases spread, so they need to be vaccinated. But I'll talk more about that later. So, what other things we need to think about when we're going to go on holiday? Now, are we going to take our dogs with us, or are they going to go, as Yvonne said, into a kennel? So, we've got to think of this ahead of the holiday.
Absolutely. Planning ahead is always a good idea with dogs, and actually training for the situation, not training in the situation. For example, going to kennels, I would always suggest before you go and choose a kennel and just stick them for the fortnight that you're away, that actually you go and visit the kennel first and, have a chat and have them just stay overnight, perhaps. Or just if they do a day, daycare part of their setup, which some of them do nowadays, is just have them there, stay for the day.
Yeah, then they'll get to know the routine
and the people
place without it being a long stretch when they think maybe you have deserted them.
Yeah, well, we're putting some of our emotions
Are we
onto
not?
them. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure what they think as dogs. I mean, I talk about that in my book about, our emotions when we think about them in kennels. We often think about, the Lassie story and, Joe Carraclough saying to his dog, I don't want you anymore, and leaving the dog in the kennel. And you're thinking, as you're stepping away and you hear your dog bark, you think they do feel deserted. But actually, science has shown that a dog will make friends within 10 minutes with the lass or the lad that's looking after you.
That's how dogs have survived over the millennia. They've made friends with us and other dogs, and by and large, they bed in quite quickly. But there are some dogs that are very stressed by the kennels. So if that's the case, and it appears to be the case, then something perhaps to talk with your vet about, something to ease the dog's anxiety whilst it's in with the kennels.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we've bred, particularly the lap dog, or the toy breeds, we've bred them to really want to be close to us all the time. And I've suggested to clients with little dogs that actually it might be a good idea to get a house sitter in. And there's some really good ones these days.
Yep, there are some people who are professional house sitters for dogs, cats, sheep, horses, all creatures,
parrots,
and also they're there in your house and the animals in its usual environment. And once they get to know them, become part of the family.
They're part of the family, and there's less stress. But
it's not available for everybody.
No, and that's perhaps when you can chat to your vet, and also liaise with the kennel and check in with them, how they've been, have they been stressed, and if you've got a good kennel, your dogs will eventually trot in and feel that that's deep sigh from my dog there, and that's a place to be, that they actually enjoy going on their holidays. We've been fortunate enough to find some really good kennels for our dogs, because that's another thing. It's not just when you go on holiday, it's with a family event or Christmas or
even illness
illness,
going into hospital or anything like that.
Yeah,
you need some
backup.
thought as to what backup provision for what's going to happen. Sometimes you've got family around, and sometimes, your family are fairly grown up and they can come and help or take over the animal. So do think ahead and make sure you've got provision for those days when things go wrong and maybe the dog does need somebody to come and look after it or go into a kennels.
But this podcast episode is called Going on Holiday. What about when you decide to go on holiday with your dog?
Oh, that's going to be great fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, there's lots of places you can stay today that accept dogs. And I've been in the situation, and I've talked to friends that have, like us, that, have 3 dogs and they only allow 1 or 2 even at the most, and not 3. Is it okay to leave 1 dog behind, do you think?
1 dog behind with somebody they know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would work.
And which dog would you take?
Which would I take
Yeah.
if I was going on holiday?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd probably take Joy.
Yeah, that's it. And why would we take Joy?
Because she's big and cuddly.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And the thing is, and don't feel guilty about it, I think. Because the thing is, we know that Joy would be really, big and cuddly. And the person who owns the cottage that we're staying at, or going into a hotel room, they're less likely to, they're more likely to bond with her, aren't they? And think she's gorgeous, and, where the collies are more rush round and we can relax more because she's slower and we don't have to rush round. We can slow down, and that's what holidays are about, aren't they?
Yeah, but some people like to go for, trekking the Pennine Way or something, and having a dog companion is ideal, isn't it?
I think then that's when I'd take the Border Collies.
Yeah.
In their younger days. I
Yeah,
mean,
perhaps for now they're a bit old and creaky, but and sleeping under canvas or in a caravan and this sort of thing. Yeah, dogs love
but
it.
if you've just got the 1 dog and you're going on holiday, how can we prepare him to go, or her, the dog, on holiday?
Well, of course, people have got to remember that they've got to take all the provisions you need for the dog for the holiday.
It's a bit like children and a nappy bag,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So they need beds, they need their toys, they need water bowls, food bowls, they need the food for the enough for the journey and
we
trip.
like a travelling cat crate as well, don't we? So that
We do. We like to have one of these
pop-up crates.
So we can stay in a room and the dog goes in it, and we can go to sleep and not worry that they're into mischief somewhere.
Well, because a strange room is interesting, and we need them to relax, and going into their pop-up crate means, come on, guys, relax.
Yeah,
and we have taken all 3 with us.
Yeah, we have, and managed all 3.
Yeah,
indeed.
And be aware as well that, as we found, that sometimes these hotels have lovely white sheets, don't they? Do you remember that time?
I remember the time, the muddy dog walk, and then coming back and, the bed looks great. Whoops.
Yeah, but it was you.
Yeah, my foot.
It was your foot. And we did own up, but we put the dog straight into the ensuite.
And then I sat on the bed,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, my muddy foot.
Yeah, and you can hear that. You see, that's something that will happen.
Yeah, barking
when you're in the room.
Yeah, now if you've got very barky dogs, maybe in a hotel room could cause trouble with your neighbours.
And again,
so maybe you need to pick a holiday that suits the dog you've got, if you like.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is with Joy, she's what we call alarm barking there. And you've got somebody in the next room that is going past. You might find that you'll have to start doing your relaxation routine and regimes so that dog, calms down pretty quickly and isn't annoying all the rest of the guests with their barking. I mean, basically, she's quickly, calmed down there. There was obviously some something that she needed to tell us about, and she wanted to tell us that we ought to take notice. So when you're going on holiday, you have to remember that the dogs are going to bark and might annoy the other guests. But that's I suppose a good reason to choose a little cottage.
A dog-friendly hotel might
Put up,
be acceptable.
Yes,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
but the renting a cottage is quite a good idea.
Yep. Again, you have to make sure that the cottage accepts
Or
dogs.
We did with our dogs. We went out in a big camper van, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, we actually rented one to try
it out. See
Yeah.
how we got on. Yeah, that's another option.
Yeah.
Try it out for a weekend or something to see if it works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's lots of ways of do little trips first.
Yeah. Then, of course, if you are wanting to travel, you might want to travel abroad.
Yeah, well, that's
you can do it,
yeah,
but things are more difficult than they used to be now.
Yeah.
So you need certification and rabies vaccination, and that brings me perhaps on to vaccinations. And
we've got another lit delivery chap. There you go.
They keep coming.
Yeah. Why did we have lots of Amazon? Well, we have to. We can't go out shopping at the moment we're locked down, but our dogs are getting used to people coming to the door, aren't they?
They are indeed, yes.
And that you might have somebody knocking on your door when you're on holiday, mightn't you?
You might,
yeah.
Yes.
And so
just the same.
You've got to get them to warn you, but actually, I said, there's a delivery man for Joy. That's a cue that she can calm down now.
We know about it now.
Yeah,
yep.
Now
she's done her job.
So if you're having room service, you might say, that's room service, and play that game with them before you go away.
Yeah.
Do lots of games like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, going back to the fact that we've got to have think about vaccinations.
Yes, vaccinations. You'll need vaccinations as a routine anyway, because dogs will pick up diseases just by normal day-to-day living, going out and about, meeting other dogs,
and kennels
where other dogs are.
Is kennel
but
cough.
Kennels, you've got a specific situation there where the dogs are all in together. There's a turnover of dogs, and that's when diseases are passed about. So get your dog fully vaccinated. Follow your vet's instructions on that. One of the diseases you might want to consider is kennel cough, or tracheobronchitis, which is an infectious group of diseases, respiratory diseases, that affects dogs. Some are minor, some are major. The major ones can be protected against by having a vaccination. So discuss that. Some kennels insist on it, some don't. Make sure you know what's required before you turn up at the kennels, and you need to leave yourself time to get the vaccinations done beforehand,
and
so
get them up to date
and completed. I will also have a very quick word about travelling abroad and the requirement usually for rabies vaccination, which is not in the UK, thankfully. But if you go onto the continent, travel the world with your dogs, then you will need rabies vaccination, which is a separate vaccination, and you will need certification for it. So that needs to be thought ahead, discussed with your vet, and organised well ahead of your trip.
Right, okay. Well, I think that's we'll think about, hopefully we'll have lots of nice holidays. At the moment, we're not allowed to go on holiday, but soon, hopefully, we will. And we'll think about getting those vaccinations up to date.
Yeah,
so
make sure you're all up to date with that before you go. And if you're going to some exotic climes, you need to certainly have a word with your vet so that they can get you fixed with whatever preventive care is needed for that country.
Yeah, we'll bring this podcast to a close, and we'll say yes, thank you, Pen. As I say, again, acknowledging the bark often makes the barks go very quickly. She's, worried about the parcel outside. So thank you for joining us on Lassie Talks podcast. Don't forget to look us up on lassietalks.com for the website, and we're on Facebook too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Lassie Talks. If you would like to get in touch or have any questions, then please visit lassietalks.com or visit our Facebook and YouTube page. Every dog has a Lassie's heart. So remember, we need to make our homes the best place for our dogs to be. See you soon at the next episode of Lassie Talks. Lassie Talks was recorded and produced at Monkey Nut Audiobooks.